you're in, say, a state of fear or anxiety, if you start to track where in your body the energy is pulling, you'll find that it's often pulling in the brain. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Write with Chloe podcast. Today's topic is WTF is somatic healing. So within my business, obviously, I help people learn how to write their first book in just 45 minutes a day and enjoy the process. But I also do somatic coaching with clients, and I'm about to explain what that is and how it works and why I do it. But I also often combine these two things. So when I'm teaching writing, I'm teaching that we write from the body, but we edit from the head or the intellect. So even if we're not doing directly somatic coaching, anytime I'm working with clients, even on writing, we are still working with somatic strategies, because for me, that's where the deepest writing comes from, i.e. the body, not the brain. And really, learning to write is a form of authenticity work, which is a form of learning to surrender to what is alive in your body. That's it. And then being willing to go towards that instead of where your brain wants you to go with a book's direction. So somatic just means in the body. That's it, basically. So it's like bodily healing. So why do we do it? For me, above all else, the entire point of somatic work is living from intuition above intellect. So most of us from a really young age have been trained to believe that wisdom comes from the brain or it comes from the intellect. But in my experience, that's not actually true. Particularly when we're making decisions about where we want to go in our life or what we want to write about or what our life purpose is. These aren't really decisions that you can make just from intellect. I'm all about intellect as well, and I absolutely believe there is a place for intellect at a certain point, but it's not the starting point. It's the support. I'm going to say that again because that is so key, I think. There is a place for intellect, but it is as the support, not as the starting point for making these decisions about how you're going to live your life, what your life purpose is, what book you should be writing, and so on. So really the point of somatic work is starting to learn how to reconnect with the body so that we can hear our body's truth and wisdom and make decisions from that place rather than only from intellect. So in theory, this sounds like an easy thing to do. And sometimes it is. And sometimes it's really not. Most of us are completely disconnected from the neck down, often due to trauma, conditioning, training from a really young age to prioritize the intellect. And so often our body is speaking to us, and we are literally not even aware that it is doing so. And so when we're doing somatic work, all we're doing literally is reestablishing relationship with the body. That's it. There are so many different ways that you can do this, and for so many different purposes as well. But I'm going to talk about a few of the ways that I do and how I work with them. So for me, one of the first purposes, or I guess would be second purpose, because I already touched on living from intuition over intellect. So the second purpose of doing this work is starting to release tension. I often use somatic work both with myself and also with clients as a way of starting to soften and relax the body, which then as a byproduct will start to soften and relax the brain. So anytime that we are in resistance to something, or we have an emotion that we don't want to or don't know how to process, or we have a trauma that hasn't been processed, it gets stored in the body, often through musculature holding patterns. If you're interested in coming into deeper connection with yourself and living in a way that is more fully expressed and authentic, I offer one-on-one somatic coaching as well as breathwork sessions with people. So these are two different styles of sessions. You can reach out to me, we can have a chat about which one is right for you. But basically a breathwork session is where I guide you through a whole cycle of activation, release, and then deactivation using the breath in order to process whatever is most alive in your body at that point. And then the somatic sessions are usually more skill development, where I guide you and show you how to feel emotions in your body, how to be present with sensation, how to ask your body about what she's trying to communicate to you. So check the link out below if you would like more information, or feel free to send me a DM and we can have a back and forth and have a chat about what might be useful for you. So in childhood, with the best of intentions, because they want to help you fit in society, of course, they're teaching you often what they were trained in, your parents will start to train you to believe that certain parts of yourself or certain emotions are more valuable or less valuable than others, or some are welcome, some are not welcome. And so one of the ways that we will, as a child, start to suppress these emotions is by starting to suppress certain parts of our breathing mechanism. And so this then starts to become ingrained in the body through holding patterns. And so doing somatic work is one of the ways that we can start to slowly unlock some of these holding patterns of tension in our body. So for me, it's like the deepest way to move towards release of tension and relaxation and true rest that I know of, right? And when this happens, we're then able to feel safe, to be authentic, and to write the book that our body wants us to write rather than our brain. Something else that I often do with myself, with clients, is learning to ground. Learning to ground is literally just about sending energy down. So if you think about often if you're in, say, a state of fear or anxiety, if you start to track where in your body the energy is pulling, you'll find that it's often pulling in the brain. The brain, it's like it's trying to protect you, trying to look after you by feeding you all of these worst possible case scenarios, so fear-based scenarios. But then when we start to send energy down into the body, it's a way of, I guess, almost starting to release that. And the lower in the body our energy is, the more grounded we will be, and then the safer we will feel, and then the less fear-based narrative and mental loops are going to be playing out and then dictating the decisions that we're making in our lives. So doing this somatic work helps you just essentially ground by bringing the energy down into the body, so that that's where we're making decisions from rather than only the brain. But perhaps the biggest two for me really is about learning to feel emotions, learning to tolerate sensation, learning to sit with discomfort. What I've noticed is that most of us are walking around in a near constant state of self-resistance, bordering on self-hatred. This is something that we're often not aware of, so it's not necessarily happening in your front or conscious brain. It's often happening in your back brain, what I think of as like the back brain, by which I mean like the front brain would be thoughts of like, oh, what am I going to have for dinner? Like, oh, I'm going to throw a cross in this way. Oh, I think she is X, right? It's thoughts that you're easily consciously aware of. And then I think of the back brain as there is a set of thoughts or an internal chatter or monologue that's going on that is often fear-based and disempowering, that is actually running the show, but that you're often not aware of until you give yourself permission to turn to it and hear what it has to say. And so what this does is it sets up this self-to-self relationship of essentially self-hatred, because we are in constant resistance to our own experience of reality via the resistance to the way that we feel, right? And so learning to be with emotions in the body helps to start to resurrect this. And then finally, emotional release and processing. So let's say there is some anger or sadness that wants to be felt, or some confusion that needs to be sat with. We can do a whole different range of strategies, usually using movement and a bunch of different mobilizations in order to release the energy associated with these emotions. So for example, like a macro mobilization might be standing and jumping and raising your arms up and down or hitting a pillow. That would be like a macro mobilization. We would have mid-level mobilizations all the way down to micro mobilizations. So a micro mobilization might be, or a mid-level one, for example, might be something as simple as like twisting your spine. And if you do that, you can see that there is like a subtle release. There is a subtle, like energetic, like that's it. That's a form of somatic mobilization. And then we have some micro level mobilizations as well. Anything from even small shoulder movements to just pressing your hands into your thighs to come into deeper connection with the body. So this is kind of the range of different possibilities and things and purposes of somatic healing. Typically when I'm working with clients, we're doing one of sort of three things. Either I'm guiding them through a breathwork practice, which is about an hour and a half, and it starts with a bit of relaxation, possibly a little bit of resourcing or finding internal safety, and then some upregulating or some activation with breath to bring some stuff up that wants to be resolved, and then moving through that with the breath in order to feel it, be present with it, release it, process it, before we then move into deactivation. So it'd be a breathwork session. One of the other main things that I do is just sitting with people while they feel the sensation of different emotions in their body, teaching them how to track where energy is in their body, how to sit with tensions or pleasures, and then just observing how those energies shift when we stay in connection with them. Or the third one would be when we're doing mobilizations or movements in order to actually release whatever is alive. And then I guess also actually just sort of a fourth one that I use a lot, establishing communication with the body. So there's a few different ways this can play out. One of them is like starting to send your body gratitude, starting to become aware of everything that your body has done for you and actually actively sending her gratitude for that. Or something like connecting with your heart and asking like what message she has for you on a certain issue as a way of getting clarity, things like that. So literally learning to speak to your body and also receive messages from your body. So all of that is essentially somatic healing that I do with my clients, either as part of their book writing process or independent from writing and just for the purpose of living a more authentic and aligned life. If you are interested in doing some somatic work with me, you can check out the link below or send me a message and we can have a chat about how we might be able to work together. If this was helpful, please share it with someone you love, subscribe or give us a rating. And I appreciate you being here with me, and I will see you next time. If you're interested in coming into deeper connection with yourself and living in a way that is more fully expressed and authentic, I offer one-on-one somatic coaching as well as breathwork sessions with people. So these are two different styles of sessions. You can reach out to me, we can have a chat about which one is right for you. But basically a breathwork session is where I guide you through a whole cycle of activation, release, and then deactivation, using the breath in order to process whatever is most alive in your body at that point. And then the somatic sessions are usually more skill development, where I guide you and show you how to feel emotions in your body, how to be present with sensation, how to ask your body about what she's trying to communicate to you. So check the link out below if you would like more information, or feel free to send me a DM and we can have a back and forth and have a chat. about what might be useful for you.